Next, on this episode of The Nice Guys on Business.
Outbound is the art of sending one-to-many messages, but making it as one-to-one as possible, right? And the way we can do that is segments or using AI personalization. Like, for example, one of the things that, now this is all secret stuff. Now, one of the things that we use in our messaging when sending podcasts and offers is including some sort of question about a podcast topic. Like, have you ever considered starting a podcast about this topic, right? Topic that is relevant to you, because I can see you've talked about it on your LinkedIn or it's on your website or something like this. And this goes into amplifying the message. So we know the core message is X, Y, and Z. Now, how can we amplify it via relevant personalization, right? How can we make this as one-to-one as possible while keeping it as one-to-many?
You don't need to see their identification. These aren't the podcasters you're looking for. These are the nice guys on business. Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by TurnKey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
All right, nice guy community. Today we're going to chat with the founder of Zaniver, a company and a firm dedicated to helping other companies secure qualified sales opportunities. Now get this, through AI-powered cold email strategies. If you think that's a little bit highfalutin and a little technology-driven, just know that it's not just that he does it, it's that we are a client, so I am living, breathing proof that this stuff is actually happening today. Discover how his innovative approach is reshaping lead generation, allowing agency owners to focus on closing deals and delivering exceptional service to their clients. His name is Abdel Shafik, and he is our guest on The Nice Guys today. Abdel, welcome to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Doug, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited for this podcast. We're looking forward to it. I've been counting the days for when we can get started on this.
So this is like the other side of the microphone for you. Normally, when you're involved in this process, you take a completely behind the scenes role. You're the marketing company that generates the leads that help me to get more people into podcasting. It's not quite the podcasting position. So you're not used to a microphone anywhere near you, are you?
I'm not used to it. I'm always been used to, I am the one putting the pieces together. Okay, this is the approach we're going to use, the message we're going to use, how we're going to allow the sales process. This is exactly how you're going to bring on more shows for your company. But now it's interesting because I'm the one that is the guest here, right? I'm not really not necessarily the mastermind, but the one that's putting the puzzle together.
So we found you through your own medicine. I mean, you're the one that reached out to us. I think it was either through LinkedIn or through a cold email campaign. I'm not really sure how it happened. You probably know exactly how it happened. And we get marketed to about marketing all the time, and we've had a number of really challenged experiences in our past. One of the things, and I want you to share, your philosophy, of course, but I want to share with my community this before we dive in. One of the things that you helped us do in selling us what you do is you created this, what I would call, and I think what you call also, a no-brainer offer. It's like, hey, here's a guarantee, or I know you've probably done this before, but you've never had anybody that has done it for money back. And I'm like, no, hell no. Nobody's ever done that. Is that what your secret to success is? Or tell us what your secret to success is.
So truthfully, every lead generation company out there is working on some sort of refund or some sort of pay per model, right, to reduce risk on the client side. Because most of the companies we speak to, they've at least tried one lead generation company in the past and is utterly failed. So they wasted money there. So nowadays, having some sort of risk reversal is very important in trying to acquire the client. It's almost like they expect a risk reversal of some sort. Even the ones that come through referrals, they still ask, do you have a guarantee of some sort or something like that? Which of course we do. But I would say, I guess you could say the secret to success in, let's just focus on TurnKey podcast, in acquiring you, was sub-niche specific messaging and specific pain points that podcast production companies such as TurnKey often face, right? Such as, for example, trying to sell services. Now, TurnKey, I would say the exception with this, but a lot of podcast production firms struggle with presenting an ROI to the service to potential clients. So that was a pain point that we hit on during our messaging and kind of educating them on how the guest to client process can work as a podcast production company, right? And they're able to charge higher from that. But if we're to take a look from the front end messaging is having industry relevant pain points. Like, I know this is like the stuff that you face on a day-to-day basis. And at the same time, here's exactly how we're going to help you solve with that by generating the leads for you and giving you the sales process and consulting you in sales and doing all. And heck, we can even help you with the fulfillment side of things by taking care of the guest scheduling if needed, right? So to answer a short question with a long answer, it's knowing your industry pretty damn well, more than they know themselves, right?
So one of the things that I found was so positive in working with you is that you were very reachable. When we engaged your services, it wasn't closing the deal and then moving on to the next deal. I know you have your own business that you have to run. Obviously, putting more people into your services is how you generate your revenue and how you grow. But you didn't forget about the deliverables to the company that you are working with, us in our particular case. The other thing that was really nice was that you had several other production companies that were your clients. So you spoke our language right out of the gate. You understood the pain points that our customers or our prospective customers had, and you understood how that it's not just I'm not going to talk to somebody today and put them into our services tomorrow. Sometimes it's a 3 or a 4 or a 10 call close.
Sure.
And you understood all of that stuff. Talk to us about the importance of understanding your prospect's language before you get into selling them, because I think that that's an important component of what you do as well.
Sure thing. So oftentimes let's just talk about client acquisition in general as a whole, the most difficult part is actually acquiring that person on the phone, right? Because you have to put and Doug, you're the perfect example of this. I'm sure if you open up your inbox right now, you see there's a gazillion different cold emails of all different people trying to get you on the phone. And it happened to be that Zaniver, my company, was successful at doing that because we spoke the language of what a podcast production agency speaks and returns. So for example, some of them don't exactly say clients when they're referring to the clients. They may call it shows. So small difference of, we can help you, instead of saying we can help you acquire more clients, we can help you acquire more shows, right? To same
Right.
thing, different terminology. Another layer on top of it is, well, first of all, if you want to sell that person in the first place on your service, you kind of have to sell them on you as a person, first of all, right? And like your expertise, you actually knowing your stuff when it comes to that side of the company. And especially with lead generation, when it's such an important aspect of the company, being able to generate, it's like the bloodline. They need to trust you, right? And the easiest way to get someone to trust you is by showing off your expertise. So understanding their jargon, showing off case studies that they've previously worked with, perhaps even giving them a referral, right? Or not for a reference of someone that you've helped before, and it even helps if that someone is in the very same industry as them.
Right.
So
yeah, all of those things were integral part of helping us to understand why you were the right fit for us. It's such an important role, Nice Guy community, and you all know this from owning your own businesses or working your side hustles, is that nothing happens until something gets sold. And I want to even take it a step further than that. Nothing happens until you get the phone to ring, because you can't sell somebody that you're not talking to. And how many unqualified people how many pick your brainers do you want to have in your course of your early stage of your growth? I can remember as we were starting our production company, Abdel, I would have all of these get to know you conversations. And it's not like I didn't want to have the conversations. I needed to get to understand my market. But man, you could have a million people that want to pick your brain, but when it comes down to it, who's willing to pay you money in order to pay for your expertise is a very small niche of those. Speaking of niches, I want you to share the importance of the riches are in the niches. The tighter that you can define your market, the easier it is to market to that group, the more effective your lead gen and your close ratio will be. Can you speak to that for a moment?
Of course. There's a good old phrase that goes along: if you sell to everybody, then you sell to nobody, right?
Yeah.
So it's very important to be able to really understand your client profile and the surface level information, such as like what is the industry, what is the ideal headcount, what is the revenue location, all of that good stuff. And the reason why it's important is because obviously on the front end of it, of actually acquiring them, such as the messaging, being able to speak the proper language, know what they struggle with and how you can fix it. But also, let's take a look from a fulfillment point of view, because you've helped so many of similar clients before, you're able to nail down fulfillment that 95% of the time you can deliver them exceptional results, which in turn you could put a guarantee to it on the front end of it to make it even acquisition easier, right? So for example, if you know for type A clients, you always deliver them a 10 out of 10 service and they're so happy with it, and there's a certain KPI that you're able to deliver for them that is super valuable, and that's what they come to you looking for, you're able to slap a guarantee on it because you've worked with so many before and you know you live and breathe that service, and at the same time making your acquisition easier, right? So that's the benefit of niching down. Another thing is it makes everything simpler, right? When niching down, obviously you don't want to be too niche where you're working with a very specific type of company and there's only like 100 of them in the entire world, right? Because eventually you'll run out of total addressable market very, very quickly. And okay, now I'm going to keep going. Another benefit is that you're essentially running one very simplified business. So as a whole, from an operational point of view, there isn't too much differentiation between each client that you have to apply and build new SOPs for, right?
Right.
So it just makes stuff a whole lot easier when you niche down.
One of the areas that that you guys did a really effective job for us in the very early stages, and we've only been with you for a few months, but I can already see the fruit on the vine. It's now just a matter of reaping the harvest at some point. I know that that's just a matter of time. It's one thing to be able to bring in leads. It's another thing to be able to close those sales once the leads come in the door. One area where you guys really have provided an amazing amount of advice is beyond the lead generation. And I'm not saying that I follow your philosophy 100%, but I can tell you to help us with the sales aspect of it after the lead comes in the door, not by closing the sales, but to actually help me understand, okay, we've set it up this way. Your next step is to make sure you're emphasizing this, that we made an emphasis point on in the marketing, and bring that home as a closed sale. So talk about the importance of the handshake between marketing, lead gen, and selling, because that's ultimately what I'm doing as the guy running the sales department.
Sure thing. So there's often between this disconnect, and we see this a lot with new clients that we go on board. There's disconnect between sales and marketing. So we're the marketing team, with us setting appointments and all that sort of stuff, and sales is taking them. Sales love a specific kind of prospect, that ones that are often marketing can't really target. Like, for example, let's take the podcast production side of things. The sales side may love speaking to folks who perhaps been a guest before on a podcast or been a host before, which is very difficult to target on the marketing side of things. Like, sure, we can try and look for them, but at the same time, how many are actually truly out there that we can market to in comparison to folks who never started a podcast? To like the two different numbers completely, right? So instead of having this disconnect, what we like to do is we like to have a handshake, as you just mentioned there, where the sales team can see directly what conversations the marketing team has had with that lead up until the appointment, and what even the specific messaging that got that lead interested in the first place. So the sales team is able to take it directly. For example, if I pitch you on the idea of a podcast to acquire more clients, right, and that's what got you on the phone, I'm not going to start take the conversation on how you can acquire thought, how you can be a thought leader and brand your company and all that sort of stuff through a podcast, because the client aspect of it, what got you on the phone, right? And until I truly confirm that this is what got you on the phone, I have to keep doing or emphasizing what the marketing has emphasized until I can see otherwise, right? So it's very important.
So the proof is in the pudding as it relates to an effective marketing plan. becomes more effective once a deal is closed. So it involves both marketing and selling. And I can see that you've done an effective job at both sides of it. At least as a client, I could see you did an effective job of closing me into a service, and you did an effective job of marketing to Strickland, who took the initial marketing call. At what point did you decide, hey, we do know how to do both of these things, marketing and sales? At what point did you say, I'm really focused on just doing the marketing side of things? Because you try to be everything to everybody and you'll end up being nothing to anyone. But at the same time, you do such a great job of marketing and selling. Have you ever thought about packaging that service up as one thing and bringing it out to an organization as a deliverable?
So because of the type of clientele that we target to is typically anywhere from 5 to 20 employees, the number one problem, always, 99.5% of the time, is we don't have enough leads, right? So in our front end messaging and front end offers, it's lead gen focused, marketing focused, because that's the main problem they face. Every business owner that comes to us thinks they just have a lead gen problem. But in reality, we get the leads, they have a sales problem as well that we need to start working on. Right?
Hey, look, I could be that guy too. I always thought I did a really good job. I thought I did a good job of selling. I've been doing it for 30 plus years and with TurnKey for 8 years, but I might be the bottleneck in our process.
But it goes down to knowing your avatar, knowing your niche of what they truly struggle with, because we see this so many times. We get them Abdel, we have no leads. A month later, we have leads, but we have no closes. Why don't we have any closes? Because we actually have a sales problem too that we never really addressed, right? So what we're doing now is we're working on the sales side of things when a client comes on board. I believe, Doug, we did this with you. We had a one-to-one conversation with our sales consultant on what the process would actually look like, because it's cold leads in comparison to other referral leads.
Huge difference.
Yeah. massive difference. And for cold leads, you have to work a lot harder. But once you nail down the process, man, this thing becomes a revenue machine, right? Because all it now becomes a numbers game.
Yeah, but before you go on, but you have to understand the characteristics of a nice guy community. Maybe you already know this, and maybe I'm just fucking learning this now, because it's like, oh my gosh, you're dealing with people that show up late. They are no shows. They come in and they're like, why are we here? They're not as invested in the meeting as I am. It's usually the other way around. Somebody comes to a meeting, they're ready to get all of this information from me, and in some cases they're ready to pay a lot of money in order to invest a lot of money in order to buy. With a marketed to or a cold lead, it's a whole different world. You're getting people that you're lucky if they're showing up, and if they're showing up, you're pulling them through every pain point. Normally a warm lead has discovered on their own what their pain points are, and they're trying to work through them. Just the opposite. So I appreciate what I have to deal with now, although I hate it. I appreciate I appreciate what hurdles and what educational points I need to now go back to school and learning, so that I'm able to bring people across that sales line or that closed line. And I'd love to get your comments on that.
So you said it perfectly. Often cold leads, they come with a problem, but there's like a cloud around this, some sort of blurriness around it that we really have to kind of walk through and open up and see, okay, what is actually the problem? Why are you here? Right? Whereas with leads from referrals or word of mouth, they already have clarity on what the problem is, and they are ready to explore a solution. Whereas with cold leads, you have to build the entire process from A to Z, right? And identify the problems. All they know is they're currently at this place, they want to get to this place, but they don't know how, and there's this blurry area that they don't know how to uncover, and they just see you or they see your company as a way to get from point A to point B, right? And it's essentially your job as a salesperson is to build the bridge between point A and point B, but most importantly, your company being that, and being able to walk them down that process.
So talk for just a second if you're open to it, and if you're not open to it, just tell me to flush it, and we'll move beyond this question. But there is a secret sauce in doing what you do, and a lot of that involves technology. Can you share a little bit? I'm not asking you to give away the farm here, but can you share a little bit of how your process works so my community knows, hey, this isn't just we're going to LinkedIn and sending direct messages to a million people. You have a method to your madness, and I call that madness in quotes because it isn't madness, it's genius. You have a method to it, and I want to share that with our community.
So the process, like there isn't like a secret sauce. All of this is simply just fundamentals of what we're working on. Who are we targeting? Who are we targeting with? Right? What is the best channel to target them, or what do they actually struggle with? Right? So I'm going to use podcasting as an example for coaches. A lot of coaches and consultants, they often have a need for branding and thought leadership. They need to market themselves out there, right? So that's the need. Podcasting is the perfect service for that because it has all the benefits of being able to be like a podcast can be redistributed on multiple channels. You can invite your clients onto it and build deeper relationships with them. You can prospective clients, all of that sort of stuff, right?
Right.
But from there, okay, this is the benefits of the service. This is the benefits to the person or the ideal client profile, the ICP. That's what we call it in my industry. What is the main outcome? Depending on the kind of person, in most situations, the main outcome that they're buying into from your service is more clients. Again, I'm sticking with the podcast example for this one. And then from the, okay, so we understand that the main outcome of our service is more clients. Now let's create an offer around it. Now, what I mean by an offer is it isn't just we can help you acquire more clients. No, it's kind of we can help you acquire this amount of clients in this time frame using this unique mechanism, using this value prop. So, for example, an offer might be we help coaches and consultants acquire 3 to 4 clients a quarter. So, outcome, time frame, 3 to 4 clients, outcome, time frame, quarter, via 20-minute done for you podcasting, unique mechanism, right? That's the service. So that's the offer. Okay. And then next step from there is the messaging. How can we communicate this message effectively, knowing how aware our market is of that service, right? Because a market may necessarily have a lot of awareness on the problem. So let's say lead gen, for example. So they have a problem with lead gen, but they don't necessarily know the solution to it or know your solution to it. That's the more appropriate one. So podcasting, right? So, for example, coaches and consultants, very pain heavy awareness that they have a lack of leads, but they never think of podcasting via guest to client as the process of right. So you kind of have to build your messaging via, and this is all principle stuff like market awareness and all of that sort of stuff, and market research and using the jargon of what your industry calls clients and needs and all that good stuff to effectively communicate your message. That's the messaging side of things. Then there's another layer, which is where technology kicks in. Like technology is not being used up until the very last step of how can we amplify this message? Like, cool, I've created now my direct response copy that I'm going to use in my email or my LinkedIn message to gauge interest. How can I amplify it so it feels as one-to-one as possible? Because truly the outbound is the art of sending one-to-many messages, but making it as one-to-one as possible, right? And the way we can do that is segments or using AI personalization. Like, for example, one of the things that, now this is all secret stuff. Now, one of the things that we use in our messaging when selling podcasts and offers is including some sort of question about a podcast topic. Like, have you ever considered starting a podcast about this topic, right? Topic that is relevant to you, because I can see you've talked about it on your LinkedIn or it's on your website or something like this. And this goes into amplifying the message. So we know the core message is X, Y, and Z. Now, how can we amplify it via relevant personalization, right? How can we make this as one-to-one as possible while keeping it as one-to-many?
It's a very interesting service. It's like kind of like you don't want to know how the sausage is made. I don't really care how the leads are made as long as they're being made and they're being provided. They taste good to me, so we'll continue to engage your services. When they stop tasting good, then we have to figure out, okay, what's the next step, or how do we advance from here? if you're in our community and you're interested in getting more information about how Abdel does what he does with his team, and it's an amazing team, 24/7. I've never seen it. It's like, when did these people sleep, and when does Abdel sleep? I don't even know when he sleeps, because anytime I send him you're in England, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah, so whenever I send him a message, it's 9 hours later where he is from where I am, but it seems to be he's always awake. So I don't understand it. He's a young guy, but he still needs his sleep. So how did you get into this whole thing to begin with? How did you determine that this was going to be the direction that you go?
Funny story. I never even had any sort of more business, not just business exposure when I was younger, growing up, or anything like that at all, right? I come from a very traditional background. Now, for context, for the listeners, I'm Egyptian, right? And a lot of our values stem from you're going to go out and be a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, all that very traditional
Right.
kind of pathways, because that's what your family knows, right? Not knows as a success. They don't necessarily know anything else. So I followed that route, and then it was up, and truthfully, I was good academically, or like academic, it was never a problem, but it was always a part of me thinking, is there surely there's more to life than just this, right? Then I picked up this book, and I'm sure a lot of the viewers have read it before, and absolute game changer, Rich Dad Poor Dad. You read that, and then
Yeah.
whole eyes open up to like, holy, there's another world out there, right? So then you get into it, and then you think, okay, well, what kind of business can I start? And as you mentioned, I'm young, so I had back then had a lot of free time on my hands outside of college and outside of university. So I thought, okay, what kind of businesses that I can start, and at the same time I can see myself having some sort of success with initially. Again, you took on the very early stages where Abdel didn't even know what a call to action meant, right?
Right.
So, and then you take a look, okay, you can offer like social media management to businesses and stuff like that. So that's what I did for a while. But then the service such as that, it becomes, again, it's like there isn't really much of an ROI in this for the company. And it's a very demand capture kind of business versus demand generating, right? So from there, I thought, well, but what kind of service would I see myself writing in that doesn't require as much creativity? Because truthfully, I'm not a creative person at all. I can write down good copy, and that is able to generate your leads, right? But if you're looking for someone that's an artist, that's not me. So I thought, okay, what is a service that is ROI focused? There isn't much creativity needed to it, and at the same time, you can charge big bucks for it. Okay, outbound lead gen. Let's take a look at that. Then did a whole lot of studying, right? Because I come from an academic background. Studying is what we do, right? A whole lot of studying into what actually goes into an effective cold email. Then I got mentored by a bunch of the big guys in the space, the ones that have been doing it for years upon years, to shorten my learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, you sign your first client, and then that's when truly the learning begins. And here we are.
Right. And I feel the same way. I remember our first client, Lou, and he may still be a listener to the show. I don't know, but Lou, thank you. You know, you're our first client. You know, we didn't know what the hell we were doing. He kind of helped us to kind of determine what our deliverables were going to be. And he helped us determine what our pricing was going to be. Once you get that first client, now you know you have a spark of an idea, and the idea then sparks into a flame, and the flame fuels more flame to come. The more oxygen that you throw in, the more clients. The more oxygen that you throw in, the more ideas, the more sparks you have, the bigger the flame gets. And all of a sudden, you then get to, like I say, well, why don't you think about the sales aspect of it? Or then why don't you think about, well, you got the lead gen and the sales, why don't you help with the deliverable? Now you're doing all things for all people, and then it gets out of control. How many times there have been opportunities that have been presented to me as a podcast producer that are not in my zone of genius of podcast production. And it's like, yeah, I guess I could do that, but I really don't want to do that. It's like, I don't want to deal with lead gen. I don't want to deal with, I could easily open up a social media management company. I have 70 clients, and these clients all need social media help. I could be a social media manager. I don't know anything about social media management, nor do I want to. So it's like you've done a really good job of staying in your lane. You've educated yourself, you've stayed in your lane, and you're doing a really good job with selling what you do and then the deliverable as well. And I really want to emphasize that with our community because we have been burned not because somebody was a scammer, but we have been burned because we were sold into something that we didn't buy what we thought we were buying. And this is the first time in marketing, in lead gen and outbound lead gen, that we are getting the deliverable of exactly what we anticipated. Have we closed deals yet? That's up to me. That's not your problem. That's my problem. The lead gen, though, was the part that we just were kept being promised, but we're not being delivered. And you guys have come through and come through really well with that.
Thank you. Thank you. No, thank you. I really appreciate that, Doug. Thank you so much.
So talk about you as a business owner for a second, because you wear two hats: the hat you wear as the deliverable, and then the hat that you wear as the business owner. You know, you're dealing with the processes and the systems and the integration and the staffing and the leadership and the all of the stuff. What's some of the stuff that you think you do well? And then on the other side of it, what's some of the stuff that you think that you're still not struggling with, but is like, what are your normal hurdles? So let's start with the good stuff. What stuff do you do well, do you think?
So, first of all, the service itself, right? You can't be selling something that you're not exactly good at delivering if you're the main fuel of your company. So, service delivery, safe to say, we're pretty damn good at that, right? Second thing would be the actual acquisition of acquiring clients for our company. So what my service is intertwined with my own of our own company's acquisition, right? Because how we acquire clients in the same way,
right?
Is principally the same service that we
provide. You are eating your own food. You are hunting what you are killing. You are killing what you are hunting. However you want to say it. You're a believer in your own product.
Pretty much that. And at the beginning, with being a business owner, well, you're kind of not a business owner because it's just you're just one man. You're just out there trying to acquire clients, just trying to building a name for yourself, right? And then you get your first 10 clients, you start hiring, and you start having folks working under you or working with you that you now have to manage, and you're responsible for their living and responsible for their family's living. Now, this thing that you were doing for 4 hours a day and didn't really have much responsibilities has grown into this thing where this is getting real now, right?
You have to show up every day. You have people relying upon you, and they're looking to you for leadership, not just they're looking for you to supply them with an income.
Yeah, at the beginning, when you're ill, you can just take the day off, right, and just chill, not necessarily do any work and stuff like that. Now, as you mentioned, you have to show up regardless of whether you want to or not, simply because what it is required to do. So I guess going back to your question of what things do you feel you would like to improve yourself on, I would say, now this will come naturally, is just being able to provide better support for my team, right? Mm-hmm. And they can say, and your team members can say, "Oh, there's nothing really I need help. There's not much help I need from you, Abdel." But there's always something that you can help them with, and it's being able to identify that something that you can help them with, whether it's rebuilding a certain SOP so they understand it better, or creating a new service delivery process so they're able to follow it easier, and it makes their day-to-day more simpler, right? Rather than being more stressful. So it's that aspect of running a company, being proactive rather than reactive.
I liken it to comparing your team to your customers. Your team really is your customer. You're the one that's in the center as the leader of the organization. You're not just the one that has a client that's paying you money. You have the client that you have to support as your team member, without making those team members happy, without putting them in a position that they want to do the right thing by you, empowering them how to do it, and getting out of the way so that you're not doing their job for them. I think that's an integral part of success as a leader. And I think that just comes with time and a conscious effort in understanding what you have your hands on. It's not just let me tell them what to do and watch them do it. It's let me empower them to make decisions, but give them the right tools so that they can do the job effectively themselves. And I don't know your team. I only know you, but I know I see your team's actions because I see the end result of what's going on. And I really feel like you get that. And the longer that you're in the business, the more effectively you'll be able to bring that across to them as well. Share with our organization, if they're interested in getting more information about what you do and how you do it, where can they reach out to you, Abdel?
Very simple. So if you type up on your mobile or your computer Zaniver.com and scroll all the way down, you see direct access to my calendar. From there, you can pick a time if you need any sound advice or any support on how you can acquire more sales opportunities for your B2B company via outbound channels, right? And I'll disclaimer this: we don't do sales calls on the first. It's just a conversation.
Yep. And as a matter of fact, that was what he emphasized with Strickland when he got on the phone or on a Zoom meeting. It's like, hey, you don't need a credit card today. We're just giving you information. If you want to find out more after this meeting, let's get the right people involved, and we'll get down to business. But right now, I'm just here to provide you information. I so appreciated that when Strickland approached me with, hey, I spoke to somebody. I know we've been through this route before, but let's talk to him further. He was not looking for a credit card. And that's actually a selling point right there for what you do and how you do it. So if you're in our community and you want more information about cold email, outbound marketing, what exactly it can do for your organization, and Abdel would be the first person to say, I don't think that you're a fit for my company based upon what I'm hearing. It's a really good feeling to have when you're having that first meeting or two with Abdel. So thank you, Abdel, for sharing your expertise and your wisdom with our community. I'm sure we'll be able to take it further than this.
It's been an honor. Thank you for having me on. It was my pleasure.
Hey, Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice or the power of a good cold email outreach. Special thanks to Abdel. All of his information, including access to Zaniver.com and his LinkedIn and YouTube channel, will be right there in the show notes. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
If you're hearing my voice right now, you obviously enjoy the podcast. So why not help the guys out? Click on the Patreon link in the show notes, and for as little as $2 a month, you can show your support. Or show us whatever you want.